Meanwhile, if you do have to fly this weekend, what are some practical things that you can try to do to prevent being stranded at the airport?
Some of our colleagues are actually concerned about that right now. Joining us now to offer some advice is Julian Keel. He's the founder of PointsPath and an aviation and air travel expert. He joins us by Zoom. Julian, great to have you with us once again.
Good morning and good to be here.
Yeah, we've talked about the percentage of flights that could be impacted. It certainly seems like a lot, but try to put it in perspective if you could.
Absolutely. A 10% reduction across the board, if that ends up being the case, would mean 5,000 flights a day canceled. Wow. That's going to have repercussions across the entire system. So even if you are in a small city, you could be affected because a canceled flight at a larger airport could mean a delay or cancellation on a flight later down the line that same plane was scheduled to fly.
Julian, what does that mean for people who might be trying to fly in, say, later? I know my husband went away, he went international, and he'll be coming back Sunday. Obviously, this is after that possible issue, which starts on Friday. What does it mean for people who are already out of the country? Could that impact them too?
It could. However, United already has gone out of their way to say that international flights won't be affected. There still could be repercussions, but you're less likely to have an issue if you're traveling internationally. Most likely, the effects are going to be felt here in the U.S. on domestic flights, especially regional flights. Those are likely to be the ones that airlines target for reductions.
Julian, let's talk about some of those domestic flights again just a little bit more now. What type of a backup plan should somebody who's about to use air travel, what should they consider?
Yeah.
When you are traveling during this time period, and actually it's something I always say when you're traveling, try and stay a step ahead of everybody, including the airlines themselves. Take a look on the internet, look for your flight number, and see where that plane is before you leave the house. If that plane is already showing delays on previous legs, that means it's a good chance yours is going to be delayed as well. So start looking for alternates. If it's going to be a long delay, reach out to the airline directly, either at the airport or by phone. Social media is another great way to contact your airline. Just make sure you're talking to the legitimate, formal account for that airline.
Julian, when it comes to being a step ahead of even the airlines, would you recommend setting aside a cushion of extra funds too? I know that whenever you lose a flight, then you've got to maybe come out of pocket. It can be kind of hefty. Would you recommend also preparing for that?
You can, however, if you're dealing with the same airline and looking for an alternate flight, they should waive any fees and fare differences if you're making a change because of a delay or cancellation. However, here's a good tip. Use a credit card that covers trip delays and cancellations. Many of the cards that even charge just $95 a year have that sort of coverage, and that way, if there are any increases in fares, you can be covered for that extra cost by your card.
And obviously some particular ticket ranges, they will allow you to at least get a credit on those flights. As you know, the Department of Transportation and the previous administration had rules to kind of protect air travelers to try to get compensated for certain things that happen. Obviously, the new administration is putting an end to that. But in terms of what's in place right now, if somebody does get a flight delayed for longer than 3 hours or even gets it canceled, do they have any recourse?
Well, if your flight is delayed or canceled and you choose not to take an alternate flight or you end up booking on another airline, you're absolutely entitled to a refund of that original ticket, regardless of the original terms of the fare you bought. However, you are not entitled to any sort of compensation as far as hotels or meals or anything like that. Now, some airlines will proactively offer you some of those things, but they're not required to do so. This is again where a credit card with protections can come in handy because you do have some of those protections on credit cards, usually ones with at least a minimal annual fee, but that could easily save you the cost of that fee if you get stuck somewhere.
What would you say, I know we have to close, but I am curious, for some people are not traveling because it's leisure. Some people are going for weddings or funerals that they just can't afford to miss. What would you say to those people that might assure them not to panic just yet?
Yeah, you said it. Don't panic. Just leave some extra time. Remember also that not only are air traffic controllers working without pay during this period, so are TSA agents, and lines at those checkpoints may end up being longer than usual. So make sure you leave plenty of extra time. Get to the airport earlier than maybe you usually would, and bring lots of patience because it could be a tough couple of days coming up.
All right, that is Julian Keel, founder of PointsPath and an aviation and air travel expert. We do appreciate it. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Sheldon.
Very much so.